I'm muted. Here we go. Hi, everyone. I'm Steven Stonberg, CFO and COO of Bittrex Global, and the host of our video MMA. Today, we're featuring MMA On, and our guests are Darren Russell, who is the Chief Operating Officer of MMA On, and Tomaž Ambrožič, who is the advisor and owner of Sporto. So thanks for joining us today. The Bittrex Global team is really excited about our partnership with MMA On, and I think really excited to hear about what you're doing to digitize mixed martial arts, MMA, which I was really interested reading your website last night. I didn't know it's the third largest sport globally and the fastest growing with 500 million users, with probably a lot of overlap with crypto. So I think that's really cool. Looking forward to hearing about that today. So I think for these AMAs, we take a lot of questions from the Bittrex Global community, the crypto community in general. So about your listing. So why don't we just dive in and see what they want to know about your project. So the first question, which we always start with, can you tell us a bit about yourselves and your project? And does anybody in your team have a background in actual combat sports?
I mean, first of all, it's great to be part of this AMA and be partnered with Bittrex Global as well. In terms of our back team as such, we wanted to compile the best team available, so a mix of experiences. So founded by our founder, Zlatko Mahic. He's been 30 years in the sport, from competing as an amateur through to competing as a professional, through to promoting fighters, through to organising events across the globe. With over 16 years, promotional experience as well. He's founded promotions in Slovenia, with WFC, which is operated across the Balkans, a really solid promotion there, and UAE Warriors, which is a big promotion out of Abu Dhabi. He's also the Slovenian MMA president. So in terms of himself, he's got vast experience, and the team that will complement him as well is strong as well. We've got two-time UFC heavyweight champion Frank Mir, who, I mean, if you're familiar with the UFC or mixed martial arts in general, I'd be shocked if you didn't know who Frank Mir was. He fought Brock Lesnar, 16 years in the UFC as well. So he's been a great asset to the team. His advice on how MMA's changed since he came through has really helped us kind of shape our future. And, we've added more members of our team, like James Krause. He's currently in the UFC. And despite only being 34, he's became an entrepreneur. So outside of the cage as such, he's made himself a businessman, which, a lot of fighters aren't able to do.
And what about your background, Darren? Yourself and Tomaž, how did you get involved with this?
So my background is I've worked in the sort of social media and marketing side of combat sports across the last 5 years or so. Worked for some of the world's sort of biggest promotions on shows in Las Vegas, in Brazil, across Europe, Australia, in the Middle East as well. So I've worked with some of the biggest promotions and the biggest athletes as well. And I feel my knowledge going into this is, my goal is to change the sport, as I've seen the good and bad side to it. So you take note of those and what MMA On is. And I think that I can speak for everyone involved collectively, is we're here to change the sport forever.
I am more from sports marketing background. I'm owning the agency, sports marketing agency, with a lot of experiences in organizing sport events, working for sponsors for almost 30 years. And I must say that, as you said in the introduction, I was also impressed when I was invited to join the team with the potential of MMA community. It's a really growing community, growing sports, who is really setting some new standards. And as you also said, this community is very close to the crypto community. So they're understanding these new technologies and they're accepting in a different way. So we all in the team are very excited to create a digital and fan-centric platform that will reward the passion for MMA. And we really see that we have a truly global potential.
Excellent. So what do you think of the key contributions MMA On is making to the world of MMA, which is the next question from our community?
It's a great question for one, and I think the key contributions is we've already spoke about what our goal is, and that's to create a fan-centric platform that connects everybody together to make a real difference to the sport. At the minute, what we have is an issue with fighters where a lot of them can't live a lifestyle where they can rely solely on their income from competing in combat sports. They have to work a job outside of it, or have to do many other things rather than just focus on competing, because you have expenses like training camps, and sponsorship isn't too easy to come by from time to time. So we want to connect everybody together, and that's bigger really for fans and fighters than anything else. We want to bring the fans closer to everything that the fighters are doing in training camp, and then connect fighters to sponsors, to their own fan base, so they can interact on a level that they can't currently do through traditional avenues of social media.
Yeah, I think that we want to create a hub for MMA fans. We want to be a marketplace. We are not event organizer. We are not the promoters. We just understand that there are so many fans, not only USA, not only Asia, but all over the world, who are interested in different events, different promotions, who are following different promotions. So we want, on one side, we want to be something like IMDb for the movie industry, where everyone will find all informations about fighters, about events, about how to buy pay-per-view passes, how to buy tickets for the live events. Something like it's booking.com, in other ways. So we feel there is a place. Nobody covered it so far. So due to the interest which exists on the market, we could provide a lot for the fans, and especially with our MMAON token. We want also to establish a currency who will be one and the same for everyone all around the globe, to come in touch with the fighters, especially for the fans, to have different approach to the fighters, not only through the promoters, but especially to allow them to come in direct contact with the fighters.
Right. So I was reading, so it seems like in this sport, unlike others, they don't really have a team, or they don't have the recurring income. So they're really entrepreneurs, each of these fighters. So it sounds like, for the fighter, you're really providing a way for them to sort of have a bit of stability or control over their brand. I guess they could do an NFT on themselves if they wanted to. There's so many new creative ways they can monetize this. I think which kind of leads to our next question from the community. So what role will each of the parties involved in the platform have? The fighters, the fans, the sponsors, and the organizers. So you're kind of bringing everyone together, but what is the token going to do in the community?
Yeah, for example, for organizer who are selling the tickets, they're selling the pay-per-view passes. So we want that through our hub, everyone could have easy access to those events, to just pay in their own currency, but if they pay with MMAON coins, it's much easier. And also for the organizers, for the promoters, it's much easier job to do if they all use the same currency, the same payment tool. So for the fighters, it's good that they will be able to create their own profile, not only a data statistic about their fights, but that they, on our platform, they could create their own platform, their own profile, just like they have on Instagram or on other social media. And through that profile, they could come in touch with the fans. Fans could tip them, for example. They could give them some award for the good fights. So the fighters could sell directly to the fans their own merchandise. They don't need to do this via some special shop. They could do directly. They could even offer to the fans some training tips, some individual lessons. So we want that everyone get a feeling that it's important part of this community, and they could really create something what is interesting for himself. Also, for fans, for example, they could vote who they want to see on each fight, who they like more than other. So also for sponsors could have access to to every fighter. They could also see how fighters react on those platforms, how many fans do they have. So it's really a lot of opportunities for everyone. And just as I said earlier, we want really to be a hub, to be something where everyone will also do his own business on this platform, like a marketplace. And we believe that when our platform will be ready, it will offer all those features, all those possibilities.
I think the biggest thing from our side is we're all MMA fans ourselves, and to consume the MMA world, you go on 5 different websites, you check Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and we want to really become that one-stop shop where you can come and see all the updates, everybody's records, the upcoming fights, everything that you need to know in one place.
And so that again, it sounds interesting. What's the reception been from the community? Are they eager to sign up? Like, if you had a lot of people wanting to participate already?
Fighters, especially, the feedback from fighters themselves is this is really a game changer for them. And the same with fans, who you demonstrate that we can have like fan-made matchups. So if you want to see Frank Mir, for example, fight a certain other person, you can make that happen. And that has never really been seen in this sport before. So that to carry the fan through from the 10 weeks out from the fight to the decision making for the fight until they actually see the fight happen in front of their eyes is really revolutionary.
And so, how does MMA On support the MMA fighters, and what about those who can't fight anymore due to injuries? So, does this like provide an extra source of income for them?
Well, definitely. I think this point has been highlighted more because of the COVID pandemic, of how fighters can't just earn. Like a footballer is under contract and will be paid a set amount of money per week for 5 years or 4 years as to the length of his contract. Whereas with fighters, with combat sports, if you don't fight, you don't get paid. So we're offering them ways to further monetize themselves and support them, especially if through this sort of pandemic, these fighters haven't been able to, put food on the table. I imagine most of them have had to go out and find another job or rely on other income, whereas through this, they can monetize themselves through seminars, sell merchandise, doing meet and greets, live Q&As. There's what we just want to do is give the fighters the tools to connect more to the fans, which can further monetize themselves outside of, combat.
I think that's great. And again, it's this whole like theme of crypto. It's very decentralized, but it's very sort of libertarian and empowering. So it's kind of it sounds like the sport by definition is a bit like that. And you're taking away the power, giving it to the fighters and to the fans, which is awesome. So next question from the community is, can you take us through some of your top priorities for 2021?
Yeah, mostly the biggest priority is to finish our platform as we planned in the 3rd quarter. So we believe that by October, the platform will be already functional. It means that we will have available the fighters' profiles, statistic data. So we also want to offer to all organizer or event organizer that they could use our data of the fighters, our profiles. We have some problems with COVID situation, so we are a little bit limited with traveling because we want to establish very close relations with all organizations. So it goes a little slowly, but we believe that in this year, we already started with some of them one by one, and I must say that they're all very enthusiastic. They really see the potential for themselves. So this is our second biggest priority, to connect all of MMA potential promoters, organizers, and of course also to promote our MMA coin as to become an official, let's say, currency of the MMA community, because that will be the way how to connect with everyone on this field.
Well, with 500 million users, if you can do that, that's a pretty good goal. I think that would be a lot of users for your token. So that's great, Tomaž. So the next question was an interesting one. So look, there are a lot of fan tokens out there now. Is that for like all sports or football? European soccer to Americans, but effectively. So one of our community members, and I'd like to know this too. They want to know what would you say are the key aspects that differentiate MMA On from other fan tokens? And lots of interest in how they can engage with fighters through the platform. So maybe you want to talk a bit about that.
I think the point you raised earlier about why MMA is different to other sports is you don't have a team you particularly support. So I think fan tokens, as we've seen in football or soccer before, where you buy the token to support your team, doesn't necessarily transfer over to MMA because you don't support a team. I don't even think many people support one particular fighter. You support a number of fighters. So that's where the MMA On token is different. You use it across the sport, not just across your one fighter or one club. You use it across the platform for things like our MMA market to buy merchandise. So you can buy merchandise from different promotions, different fighters, all in one place using one token as that transaction. The same as if you want to use it to buy a seminar with a certain fighter, you can do that all using the MMA On token that you couldn't traditionally use using, let's say, a fan token as it's currently known. That's why we consider MMA On to be completely different to that.
Great. Tomaž, anything you want to add to that, or was that pretty...
No, I think Darren said everything. There are so many possibilities about this token. First of all, we are utility token with our use case, and we don't want that the people only focus on the value of the token or only this, but we want that they understand that that's the way how they could really do to become a member of this platform. To buy everything, like Darren said. Even to send a tip. I think this is something, after the fight, when you're a fan of one fighter and you think he deserves some support from your side, you could tip him directly, and not to send him dollars or some other currencies, but you could tip him with the MMO token, and with the same way you could buy pay-per-view pass or ticket or merch, like Darren said. So a lot of possibilities.
So you're kind of touching on the next question, which you talked about merch. You can buy merchandise, you can give tips. So, but the community wants to know what you can do with MMA On coin in the future. Specifically, somebody asked if you could place bets on fights through the platform, which I guess would be a gaming site if you did that.
We're also thinking about that. We plan actually to do it. We are working on a patent. How we will do it is something. It's not so easy, but we have an ideas, and we will, when everything will be ready, we will also communicate to our community how they could use our token also for this purpose.
Okay. Well, so gaming. I think gaming's hot. So if you can overlap gaming, crypto, and MMA, I think that's like an interesting trifecta. So no one will stop you. So you touched on merch. Everyone loves merch, and that's our next question from the community. Let's go into merch a bit. So we've got a few questions. People want to know, like, what the MMA On merchandising? Like, what kind of stuff are you going to have? How are they going to get their hands on it? What are your plans?
Like we already mentioned, we are not. We will never be a shop. We are a platform where we want to connect to our fans, our fighters. So as a marketplace. So we want mostly to offer to fighters to sell their own merch on our platform, because it's also, as we already touched this area, it could be a source of additional revenue for themselves. So we will do everything that they will not need to go to different websites, different places, but as Darren already said, one-stop place only. And I believe that the fighters will understand this. It's not only a merge, because as I said at the beginning, they could also offer individual trainings via digital platforms, some tips, some other seminars, or
so you have an MMA Peloton private lesson in your house.
Absolutely.
Like,
so
that's pretty cool.
It will be up to the fighters, to be creative, to offer something to their fans, because we want really to.
Maybe there's like a chat. They could maybe someone just chat with them or do a video call. What kind of merchandise though? Like, what do people like in MMA? I mean, like, obviously in baseball or football, you have jerseys. Like, what do fans like from MMA? Like,
I think the biggest thing is t-shirts.
T-shirts.
If you go to an MMA show, everyone's adorned with t-shirts of the favorite fighters, t-shirts of the favorite events. You go to an event and you buy a t-shirt from the event traditionally. So I think that's mainly because everyone can wear a t-shirt, you know, whereas I think training equipment, a lot of people do buy training equipment and gloves, but obviously to own a pair of gloves, you usually have to train in the sport itself, unless you own a signed pair, which, you know, we're not really closing any avenues as to what can be put on the MMA market.
Interesting. And I guess once COVID is done, maybe you could even have like a personal training session or have pay one of these people to like beat the crap out of you, which would be, you know, I'm sure there's fans who would enjoy that. So
I'd say we had a seminar before COVID with Frank Mir in Slovenia, which took off really well. To see like a former UFC champion come to Slovenia was a big moment, really.
Amazing. So we touched on NFTs, and that's the next question. So that's a really hot topic right now. I mean, like you can just, I mean, some of the sums are just phenomenal in this market. So what do you think about NFTs and MMA on? Are we going to see, like, as I sort of joked at the beginning, like, are we going to see fighters doing their own NFTs, or maybe you do want to have a fight? Like, what are your plans?
Yeah, we're definitely going to go on, Tomaž.
No, we believe there is a potential in this, but as I said, we want to create a platform also for the fighters to use this opportunity, because there are things connected with the fighters, the rights. You know, it's not that we as MMAON platform want to sell this, but we definitely could offer the currency to be available for everyone who wants to do something like this. Not only for fighters, but also for the organizers, for the organizations who maybe own some fights from the past. So it's absolutely something which is very close to the cryptocurrencies. Yeah, I believe that organizers, and some of them already did, realize the potential which our currency is offering to them.
Yeah, I think we've already seen fighters and promotions offering, you know, NFTs, and I think that's only going to be an ever-growing market, really. As an event finishes, things are going to become NFTs almost instantly after a show. So, as Tomaž rightly said, we're not aiming to sell them ourselves, but we will facilitate them because it is a growing market, and we're here to benefit fighters and fans. And being able for fighters to sell NFTs directly to fans is exactly what we're about.
That's amazing. So we've covered all the questions from the community. Is there anything that wasn't asked, like, that you think is really relevant, or things you'd like us to, you just want the community to know about?
I think one of the biggest things for me is to get across the point that all of us behind this, we are fans of the sport, and we've worked in the sport. We've worked with fighters. We've gone to shows as fans, and this project for us isn't, you know, a big money-making project. This is a passion project for all of us, and that's why we're appealing to the fans to support this project, because what it aims to do is really solve a lot of the issues we have in combat sports so far. We just want to change that for the better.
Yeah, maybe just to add at the end, like we already mentioned somehow, that we believe that it's good that we are not organizer. We are not like I don't know, organizations organizing fights, because we want to do something for fans. You know, we are now listening in other sports how important the fans are. We could see what going on in England, in the football and soccer here in Europe. The fans feel that they are not important part of this community, because somebody else is deciding in their name what kind of games will be played. But we want to do opposite of this. We want that the fans could be really involved and somehow also to choose to help to organizer which fights could be on the card. And since we are not the one who are selling all those products we were talking today, I think it's easier for us to concentrate on the whole platform as a marketplace, and to offer to everyone, especially to fans and fighters, to feel as their home, as their hub, where they found their fans, their community. And it's also very interesting for sponsors, because they want to interact with their target groups, and we want to provide them, and we want that our target group will grow just like the whole MMA community is growing really rapidly and is becoming a huge force in world of sports.
That's great. It's so exciting. And again, I was just looking at your website again. So 551 million people, that's the statistic you've got posted there. And it's the third most popular sport on planet Earth after soccer and basketball. So very amazing, educational, interesting to learn about this unknown community. I don't think people realize that. And it's fascinating to see you guys adopting crypto, and I think it can really help this ecosystem a lot. Basically, the dynamics are different than basketball and soccer. So thank you again, MMAON team, for joining us at this AMA today. You're really excited about what you're doing to revolutionize mixed martial arts. So if our listeners want to learn more about MMA On, please go to MMAON.com. And thank you again, Darren and Tomaž. A pleasure.
Thank you very much. Thank you.